Hi Scorpio, happy early birthday to those of you who celebrate in October, and welcome to your Astrology 33 October 2019 reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And just to let you guys know, I actually will be offering personal readings again starting in October. So if any of you are interested in that, just email me in October. And as far as the spread we have in front of us, we have a Celtic cross spread as always. You got only one extra card there, I think. And then we have a couple of oracle cards to get through and also a Mudra card. Seeing a few different possible scenarios playing out with this reading, but I'll try to keep it as organized as possible as we go through it. So starting with the main situation position, we have the Seven of Wands. So this is actually a Leo energy. It represents the last 10 degrees of Leo. And given that in the challenge position we have the Sun card, these two cards together could be saying that you might be defending some action that you might have taken back in the time of Leo, and probably around the last 10 degrees of Leo too. So that would have been, let's just say, the middle of August, give or take a few days on either side. Now, usually with this card coming up in this position, it does represent that there would be some success around defending yourself, if that's the case. And then as far as some other ways this could be playing out, possibly even more specific, for some of you this can be taking place in your career and social status standing, since that's what Leo represents in your chart, Leo being your 10th house. And, that can just be saying that with the sun, maybe you guys have the spotlight in you in some way, shape, or form around your career, or just your social status in general. And maybe, it might even be almost uncomfortable for you guys to a certain point. So maybe it's more exposure than you were expecting, for example. We do know that to an extent you guys like your privacy, so maybe that could be one way it's playing out as well. Another way this can be coming out, though, is to say that some information might have come to light recently, and you're having to defend your actions around that. Again, if that's the case as well, it looks like there would be some success around that. Or this can be someone else doing the same, where maybe, you're calling them out on something and they're having to defend themselves. So just a few different ways that those energies can be playing out. And again, you could definitely be dealing with the Leo also, since there's quite a bit of Leo energy there. And we also have some in the near future position as well. So something to keep in mind there. In the foundation position, we have the Three of Wands. So this is actually a card of Aries. It represents the middle 10 degrees of Aries. So, this could even be spanning back that far for some of you. Maybe this is something that you guys had started in April, and you've been waiting for those results of that work to come in. Usually, to me, this energy does represent, though, a feeling like you have put in the work necessary and now just waiting for the actual benefits of that work to come in. And with this in the foundation position, it looks like that can be the way it's playing out for some of you at the very least. It might just be that it might have taken a bit longer than you were expecting. And if I remember correctly, the general vibe around your reading for last month was that, it seemed like you were in the spotlight in some way then too, and then I had this feeling that maybe not everyone in your environment was necessarily happy for you, unfortunately. So it can also be a continuation of that too, where, you put in the work, now you're starting to see the results of that, and maybe there are some people in your circle that are a bit jealous of that. In the past position, we have the Emperor and the Four of Pentacles. So the first thing that came to my mind here, and maybe because I was already seeing a potential career dynamic there, was this made me think of a boss that might be potentially, withholding money from you, or at least they were in the past, given that this isn't a past position. Especially because this being a major arcana card for Aries, that's your 6th house, which can also relate to work. And, this is a Capricorn energy, which is the natural 10th house, which again goes back to career and social status. And then for you, that's your 3rd house of communication. So that's why I'm feeling that, they might have been withholding some communication regarding a pay raise for you, for example. Maybe they were communicating to you that they didn't have the money to give you a raise, for example. Or maybe what came to light is that they really do, and now you're confronting them about that. That could be one way it's certainly playing out as well. And if this is just a person that you're dealing with, like I said, this is Aries energy. So if it's not actually an Aries, it could just be someone that's coming off with that energy. Maybe they seem a bit controlling. Maybe they're withholding from you in some way, shape, or form. I keep saying they are, but so maybe it's still continuing, but this technically isn't a past position. So maybe that energy has already passed, but for some of you, can be someone from the past that's still carrying that energy with them now. In the present position, we have the Lovers. So this is actually a major arcana card for Gemini. So certainly there can be a Gemini in the mix for you. If that's the case, it looks like they would probably be a positive influence as far as, just looking at the energy around this card in general. But Gemini is also your 8th house, and that's the house that you guys naturally rule. So this can just be saying that this is the energy you're taking on. Maybe you're gaining your balance between your masculine and feminine side. That could be the way it's playing out for some of you. Others of you, this can just be pointing to a potential love relationship kicking off as well. I don't necessarily see a huge vibe of that, but it's certainly a possibility. And let's see if anything else comes to mind with this too. Yeah, I mean, this could all be tied to career again as well, because like I said, the thing is, this would be 8th house, which can relate to other people's money, right? So if you think about it from the perspective of if it's an employer, right? Maybe this is saying that now you finally do get some of that financial reward that you're looking for from them, which would factor in the 8th house. We already see the 10th house energy there, like I said, and then the 6th house energy. So pretty much all of the work and finance houses are at play there. So that could be what that's pointing to. Because in the near future position, we actually have the 6 of Wands, which also points to victory. And another thing comes to my mind with this too, because this I also view sometimes as just, it can be as simple as when your birthday comes around. This could just be saying a lot of people come to wish you happy birthday. Maybe they come out to celebrate with you, right? You're getting a lot of messages. That naturally happens. And that could even be what's going on too, especially for those of you who are October Scorpios. For some reason this year in particular, maybe you're just overly popular this birthday season. Maybe a whole lot of people want to, oh, come on, come out, do this, do that, right? Maybe it's almost overwhelming the amount of attention that you're getting. And maybe that's mixed with, the 12th house energy as well, because Mars is going to be in your 12th house. So, people might want you to get up and go, 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 right? Oh, come on, let's go out, let's celebrate, let's go here, let's go there, we'll take you to dinner, right? Maybe you could just be feeling a little bit worn out. And that could all tie in with the career thing too. Maybe because you've been working so hard in your career, you don't really have enough energy to socialize. And maybe that's where you're having to defend yourself. Everyone's trying to get you to come out, but there could be some, lack of energy for that. And then, given that we do see Leo energy yet again, I do have to say, if this comes back to, like I said, maybe some information coming to light and someone having to defend themselves, if it is a Leo person you're dealing with, I do actually get the vibe that they're actually going to be coming out victorious, quote unquote, in the situation, or at least they'll feel that way. So, maybe, for example, if you'd accused them of something in the past, maybe the information comes to light that actually the accusation was incorrect, and now, you might have to reconcile with them, and they feel victorious. Like, yes, I told you from the beginning that I didn't do what you accused me of, right? And now the facts come out, and then obviously they might gloat a little bit about that, because at the bottom of the deck we do have the 5 of Swords too. So this could definitely say there might have been some conflict in the past, and maybe that's what the 7 of Wands energy is about. So while for some of you it could definitely be you who could be defending yourself, and information comes to light that proves that you were the one in the right, but for others it can be another person, quite possibly a Leo. All right. In the position of your influence on a situation, we have the Page of Cups. So this is another indicator that it can be you that might actually have to extend an apology to someone, if there is some information that came to light, and if there was a 5 of Swords moment between you and someone else. But another way this can be playing out too is it could just be saying you're feeling like a fish out of water, right? If we look at the fish in the cup there, meaning that, maybe there's so much attention coming your way and maybe you're almost uncomfortable with it because, maybe you did want it to a certain extent, right, with the Three of Wands, but maybe it was just a bit overwhelming for you. And like I said, that can be due to the fact that Mars is moving through your 12th house as your birthday season kicks off. So, it could just have you feeling a little bit low on energy. For others of you, if this is some kind of ascension in your career, maybe you did get up to the next level in your career. Now you almost feel like you're starting over again, right? Instead of being in that King of Cups energy, which is your natural card, you could feel more like, okay, now I'm, like the rookie in the group, basically, in some way, shape, or form. So that could be how it's playing out for some of you as well. In the environment position, we have the Hanged Man. So this could just be saying, well, for one, this can point to the Pisces full moon as well, because we did just have that Pisces full moon, and that's your 5th house. So that could be what this is around as well. All of the Leo energy we're seeing, that could just be pointing to 5th house activity for you. And the latest 5th house activity was that full moon in Pisces. So maybe that's what put you in the spotlight in some way, shape, or form. So that could be what this is pointing to, since I do view this as a Pisces energy. For others of you, this can just be, again, if we go back to the career angle, this could be your boss trying to tell you that their hands are tied, right? Like, oh yeah, I totally want to give you this raise, but my hands are tied, right? So could be that dynamic playing out again. And like I said, I'm not sure that would necessarily be true. I don't know how you want to go about that, finding that out necessarily, but something seems a little off with that energy there, if that's the way it's playing out as a workplace scenario. For others of you, this can just represent, if you do extend an apology to someone and maybe they feel vindicated by it, right? This can just be saying that they might try to make you wait it out a bit, or even just that they're really trying to think it over. Do they want to accept the apology or not? That could be how it's playing out for some of you too, right? Because let's say you were more in that King of Cups energy when you guys had that argument, you had that Five of Swords moment, and now you come back with that Page of Cups energy, then they might be like, okay, well, the crime seemed to be a bit more harsh than the apology, basically, So that could be how it's playing out for some of them. But given that it is in the upright, I do think that it's going to be primarily positive for most of you. So this can't even just be saying that, if there was some kind of a Five of Swords moment between you and someone else, and you do extend the apology to them, even if they might make it seem like they puff their chest out about it for a bit. This can just be saying that after a while they might look at it from a different perspective too, and maybe realize that they played a part in it as well, and that would be probably the healthiest way for the issue to be resolved. So hopefully that is the way it plays out for some of you. And then another weird vibe I'm picking up on here, and this might not resonate for a lot of you, because seeing that Five of Swords sitting between the Lover's card and the Chariot, so this is the 8th house for you, and that's the 9th house. For some of you, what this can be with the work thing, right? Maybe what they're saying to you is, hey, this is the most amount of money we could give you with the level of qualifications you have. So they might say to you, in order for us to give you a raise or a promotion, you would need to get a certification, or you would need to, go to college and get some kind of a degree, something along those lines. But then they might actually let you know that, hey, we'll actually help pay for that, right? If, you have to pay for the courses, but they could just be saying that, until you get that official piece of paper, though, that says you have that certification or that degree, we can't give you the raise, right? So that could be how it's playing out, saying that their hands are tied, but if you do X, Y, Z, we'll actually help you, right? So that could be where the Lover's energy is coming in, saying that they'll actually fund some of that, where, that's where we see the positive 8th house energy there. But it is required for you to do it. So maybe that'll resonate for a few of you. That just seemed to come to me there. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Chariot. So this can just be saying, for those of you where this is you in that victory energy in the near future, it could just be saying that, maybe you were hoping for and expecting something a bit bigger than that, right? So maybe, yes, you're making forward progress, and maybe it's, it's overall it's a positive, but you're hoping to see bigger progress or faster progress with the Chariot card, because both of those cards represent victory of sorts. So can this be saying maybe it's not moving at the speed you hoped it would, but you know, overall it's still a net positive. So um, and that's also ninth house energy too. So again, maybe this is saying that you're hoping to be able to get the certification you need or degree you need in order to get that next level up in your career. So, because like I said, going back to that Page of Cups energy, obviously your natural card's the King of Cups. So maybe you were expecting to be in that King of Cups position already, but you feel like, all right, I'm just stuck in this Page of Cups position right now. But it looks like the blueprint's being laid out in that regard for how you can continue to get that forward movement. Now, in the outcome position, we have the Four of Swords in reverse. So, put it in the upright while we talk about it. Naturally, of course, this is the card that comes after Three of Swords. So this can just be pointing to some healing after heartbreak. But, so let's say if there was, like I said, a Five of Swords moment in a relationship with someone, even though I don't see like huge breakup energy, maybe if there was some kind of separation, you guys might reconcile this month. But with this coming up in the reverse, though, the main thing that I'm getting here is I'm actually getting a feeling that this could just be a warning to make sure you don't burn yourself out. Maybe you're pushing so hard to get some progress, right? And again, with that Chariot energy and the hopes, like, okay, you're getting some forward progress, right, with that Six of Wands, but you might want more and you might try to push it a little bit too hard. And the reason why I say that, if this in reverse, this can just be saying a lack of taking a rest, not taking a rest, not taking the time to heal. And also, you guys are going to have a full moon in your sixth house of health, which is Aries as well. So that'll be around the middle of the month, and that actually is going to be square Pluto, which is your ruler. So I would say it's just a warning there to just beware of burnout. So if you just feel yourselves pushing yourself a little too hard, maybe that's what that Hangman energy is saying too, to take some time, relax for a bit, look at things from a different perspective, right? Maybe don't go overboard, because Five of Swords is that energy too of going overboard. So even if this isn't a conflict per se, it's going to be saying that you're pushing yourself too hard, maybe to get some progress in your career, and it could backfire. All right. So next we have your first oracle card, which is Never Ending Story. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 37. Let's see what it has to say. Okay, it says self-criticism, the wounded ego, unnecessary dramas. Well, at the very least, unnecessary dramas makes me think of the Five of Swords at the bottom of the deck there. The Oracle's message says there is a story woven through the imperfect fabric of life that tells of hurt and loss, rejection and humiliation, self-loathing and arrogance, and all manner of suffering born of unnecessary dramas. It is the old story whose refrain is that you cannot do this, must not go there, should not say that, lest your world come crumbling down. Today, know that none of this is actually true. The sky is not falling. The voice you hear is just a small, scared, conditioned part of you that got stuck in a lie, wants to protect you, and needs to be seen as a victim. Love that lost piece of you. Fear is all it knows. Distorted guidance is preventing you from being true to yourself. You are not your story, and the narrator is simply the voice of your fearful part, small and vulnerable and easily soothed. So that's interesting there too, as far as it's saying, a part of you from when you were younger or whatever it says, something along those lines, because that makes you think almost of that Page of Cups energy again. Or like I said, your natural card would be the King of Cups. So, maybe you're actually, and again, maybe it's partially because you've ascended in your career and maybe faster than you expected. And maybe now, like I said, with that fish out of water vibe, right? Maybe you feel like, okay, now you might almost feel intimidated in the current circle you're running in, right? Maybe that's what that Five of Swords energy is there. Um, maybe that will resonate for some of you. I don't know. I didn't necessarily pick up on the vibe of all of the energy that I mentioned there, but I could see how some of it might fit with the main spread. All right, the relationship message says sometimes your heart enters into a contract with another that results in pain, not because of abuse or neglect, but for other, more complex reasons. Shame, fear of intimacy, and low self esteem are the greatest challenges to the success of a relationship. Consider how valuable this knowledge is, however. Right now, you have an opportunity for important healing, but you must reflect on the stories you weave about love, connection, abandonment, rejection, and loneliness. Not to begin a new story, you need to forgive yourself for telling yourself the old ones. Have compassion for the part of you that believes all those narratives. None of them were ever true anyway. So that's interesting there because I don't even remember at this point if I mentioned it or not, but one of the things that always pops out to me, all right, apparently we have the Empress underneath the Five of Swords, so maybe that was meant to fall out, and it's with the Lover's card, so pretty positive energies there, or maybe I'm just a mess. That's another option. But what I was going to say with the Five of Swords is that I almost always view it as energy where it's almost like a thing where it's like, okay, this isn't the first time this has happened, and it won't be the last. And even to go a step beyond that, what I usually point out to people when I see it with the Three of Swords, which we don't have in the spread, but given the message that we just read there, it might be worth saying, is what always stands out to me is this person's holding three swords, right? And then we see two on the floor, which presumably each of those people are holding one of those swords. And it makes me think that the Three of Swords energy, which is to say, it's almost like skipping that healing step, right? Because the Four of Swords is that natural healing where you actually take the time to heal from the past wounds in a healthy, proper way, and then presumably you'd avoid that Five of Swords energy by doing so. But if you don't, then you end up still carrying those three swords around with you, right? From the Three of Swords energy. But if you're in denial that they're still there, you could end up hurting others around you, right? Because, you've convinced yourself, oh no, I'm totally over that thing from the past. But if you're not, you're still carrying that around with you, right? And then if we think about just using those swords in battle, maybe at best, okay, it would be beneficial to have two swords, right? If you're fighting someone, but why would you need three? Like at that point, it's overkill. It's not going to help. It's going to hurt more than it helps. So, can just be pointing to that, and that could even be what that Four of Swords in reverse is pointing to as well. That maybe you're at risk of repeating that cycle again because the Four of Swords in reverse could be saying that you're not doing that healing. So, combine that with the Hangman and the message that the card had there. It could just be saying that, maybe you just have to actually really look inward and do the healing. And like I said, be compassionate toward yourself because, obviously whatever hurt that is that you guys have been feeling, doesn't belong in your life anymore, but naturally, can be a natural way to react to it if you didn't look at it in the right way back when it first happened. If that made any sense. All right, the prosperity message says fear, envy, procrastination, greed, and the perception of victimhood could all be active in your life at this moment. Are you comparing yourself with others, thinking their success should be yours? Maybe you're afraid of all the good that is coming your way, so you step out of your lane, totally aware of what you're doing, but seemingly powerless to stop yourself. Are you back where you started, or in a situation that reminds you of past failures? Financial insecurity is scaring you? You must learn to love yourself through missteps and sabotaging moments. Use criticism constructively right now. Better yet, stop telling this story altogether. Make up a new one. The universe loves you deeply and will wait for you to figure that out. Tell a new story, and success is all but guaranteed. You can do it. Wow. It almost reminded me of like one of those middle of the night infomercials, the way that read. I don't know. Apparently, I'm just in a weird mood right now, but hopefully that resonated with you guys. I was actually picking up on it that maybe there was more, especially related to last month's reading, where I felt like you guys were actually achieving quite a bit of success, and there might have been people in your environment who weren't necessarily too happy to see that. And maybe, to be honest with you, I could see how that might tie into it too, as far as maybe now you are having success, but maybe there are some people in your circle who aren't supportive, and maybe you're letting their talk get to you in a certain way, you know what I mean? Like almost making you feel like you don't deserve it because of the way that they're, downplaying your successes. So maybe even that's how it ties into the situation too. So something to think about there. All right. And lastly, the next oracle card we have is Hummingbird Spirit, and this is from the Spirit Animal Oracle. It says, "Be here now." There's the artwork, and the number is 34. So let's take a look at what that has to say. Okay, it says, "The hummingbird's wings beat so swiftly it can hover in seeming stillness as it drinks deeply from a flower. Hummingbird spirit comes to remind you that the beauty and sweetness of life is in the eternal now, the timeless present. Here and now, you are becoming the person you wish to be, to have the experiences you wish to have. Focus your energy on the flower before you, for what you desire is being provided. Yes, there are blossoms everywhere. The choices can be dazzling. Hummingbird Spirit's message is that you have no need to go about in search of something better, for all that you require and desire is before you. You will notice as you become still, feeling your connection to Spirit, who loves you unconditionally and will always provide for you." So interesting there to me. Both of those cards, I mean, this one was a lot more wordy, the first one, obviously, but both of those cards, in a way, do seem to be pointing to a need to take, a bit of a rest and look at things from a different perspective, which I did kind of pick up on with that Four of Swords in reverse and Hangman and the environment. So maybe there's definitely something to that, but hopefully that resonated with you guys. And lastly, we have a Mudra card. So this is the actual Mudra here. It's the Shunya Mudra, and it's omnipresence is the key word. And I'll just hold this up so you guys can, pause it or take a screenshot if you wanted to read about it a bit. And since not everything fits in a frame here, I'm just going to move it up so you could see the rest. Okay. It says, "Improves hearing, reduces ringing in the ear and earache, decreases vertigo, improves balance. Especially useful during travel. With air travel, it helps the ears adjust to the changing pressure during takeoff and landing. During water and land travel, it helps to prevent motion sickness." So, with that ninth house energy, maybe that's actually saying that some of you guys are deciding to actually take some kind of a vacation and just get away and reset your mind in that way, right? And that could be pretty healthy. Maybe that'll be a way you could reward yourself for your birthday. But if that sounds like something you think would be useful, I'll put the name of that in the description of the video as well. Like I said, once again, happy birthday to those of you who celebrate in October, and I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.